What is going on, Bucs fans, NCFB fans? Evan Wanish here, back at you with another video talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And today we are going to be discussing players to watch for the Buccaneers' first preseason game this Saturday, August 10th, against the Cincinnati Bengals. Football is back, folks. It is the preseason. Now, I know it is only the preseason. I get it. It's not the real deal quite just yet, but we still do have some Buccaneers football to observe. And look, there's a lot of intriguing players that I think fans should keep their eye out on. So I do think that obviously there's a lot of rookies. I'm not going to name every single rookie. Uh, not going to name everyone. There's going to be a few on here. It's just not going to be all of them. Okay. It's always fun to see the rookies in action and stuff. There are obviously players to watch, but I want to dig a little bit deeper into some players to watch, to keep your eye on for various reasons, right? Whether it's a role that they could potentially have, or a competition, a battle for a last roster spot, whatever it may be. And I want to start off on the offensive side of the football. I want to start with Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving, the running back out of Oregon. We do not know, but as of the recording of this video, we do not know how much the Bucs starters are going to play, if they're going to play at all. So there's a decent chance you might not see Rachaad White at all. Bucky Irving may actually get a good bit of reps here, and the fourth round pick out of Oregon has impressed in training camp. He really has. It's been a lot of positive signs from Buccaneers camp on Irving. And he's sort of that yin and yang, right, to Rachaad White there, that thunder and lightning. So I think you'd be very curious to see how Bucky Irving looks in the NFL game. I understand it's a preseason, but look, this is still probably better competition than he's ever played at Oregon. So, it's the speed that he's going to have to get adjusted to. I'm curious to see how he does. The other one is another skilled position on offense. It's wide receiver Jalen McMillan. Obviously, we've spoken ad nauseum about McMillan and how good he has been in Buccaneers training camp. He's arguably been the best wide receiver. And I mean, that's no slight on anybody else, right? Mike Evans, obviously, Chris Godwin, obviously, Trey Palmer. That's no slight on those guys. It's just McMillan has really shown out here in Buccaneers camp, and he's really turned some heads. So the third round pick out of Washington this year, the Bucs are really high on him. They really like him, and I think he's ready to show what he can do in a game. And I think he's a player to watch because, again, you're going to see what this guy can do against an NFL defense. I understand that it's not like the most elaborate schemes or this and that, and it's not as difficult. A lot of very basic schemes that he's going to be facing. However, it still is NFL competition, so I'm curious to see how he fares there. The other player that I will say is Elijah Klein. Now, if you would have asked me this, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I might not have put Elijah Klein on this list. But now, with the injury to Suopeta towards ACL, he is out for the season. He is not in the picture anymore. He was going to compete for that left guard spot, not anymore. It is Ben Bredeson's job to lose. Ben Bredeson was another guy the Buccaneers signed this past offseason to compete for that left guard spot. I'm not saying that Ben Bredesen is going to lose the job. However, Elijah Klein could actually be a guy who, as a sixth-round pick, could actually maybe get some playing time at some point this season if he were to make the roster. Injuries can happen to guys, so Elijah Klein may end up playing a bigger role than expected for the Buccaneers. So that's why I'm curious to see. He's listed on the website at 6'4", 319, the Buccaneers website that is. He went to UTEP, and like I said, it was a sixth-round pick of the Buccaneers. So UTEP did a lot of running the football. As I believe Matt Matera pointed that out on our latest episode of the Campfire Podcast. You can check that out before the game on Saturday. And so he's really got that down. And I think it's interesting to see a lot of these smaller school guys, right, that the Buccaneers have taken chances on, see how they do in these preseason games. So a lot of time, it takes some time, right? It takes them some reps. But there's also guys like Ali Marpet, and I'm not comparing Elijah Klein to Ali Marpet. Trust me, I'm not. But there are guys like Ali Marpet that sort of pick it up a little bit quicker. So I'm curious to see how Klein does, especially since he may be actually having a slightly bigger role than maybe expected when the training camp began. When Suopeta was signed and Elijah Klein was drafted, he probably wasn't expected to have this type of role right away. So I am curious to see how he does. The other person I will name, we're going to switch over to the defensive side of the ball this time. Okay, we're going to go over to defense, and we are going to talk about Chris Braswell, the edge defender out of Alabama. Not going to spend too much time on him because I have a feeling he's going to be a pretty popular guy to mention as a player to watch. But Braswell, obviously, the second round pick for the Buccaneers this past season, they hope he can contribute in some way to this pass rush in 2024. And I think that if he can, it's a huge bonus. It would be a big help, especially with now you got the health of Yaya Diaby a little bit up in the air of about week one. Will he be full strength? We'll see. He did avoid major injury, but how healthy will he be? I think Braswell could, again, a guy who could play a little bit more than expected. So I'm curious to see again how he does against NFL competition as well. I do want to point out a guy who is not a rookie. Okay, I've mentioned a bunch of rookies here so far. I said I wasn't going to mention all rookies, and I won't. But this guy is not a rookie. Servassier Dennis, linebacker out of Pittsburgh. Again, I don't know how much the starters are going to play in this game. I honestly, even if the starters were to play, I doubt Levante David plays anyway. So KJ Britt may get a little bit of time, but Servassier Dennis is a guy who is going to be that third linebacker now for the Buccaneers, right? Sort of steps into that role that KJ Britt was previously in for the Bucs, and KJ Britt ended up having to play a good bit of the season because sometimes Levante David was down, sometimes Devin White was down with injury. Injuries are going to happen, so Servassier Dennis may have to play a little bit more. Levante David's on a 1-year deal. I believe KJ Britt is a free agent after this season. So Servassier Dennis may actually play a bigger role this year and potentially beyond for the Buccaneers. So that's why I would have him as a player to watch just to see how he looks, how he's playing. I think that's pretty interesting. One more I want to give you. It is actually an undrafted free agent. So it is a rookie, but it is not a draft pick of the Buccaneers. Undrafted free agent, Tyreek Funderburk, cornerback out of Appalachian State, standing at 6', 185 per the Buccaneers website. This kid has really shown out in training camp. He really has. He had a really nice rep the other week against Mike Evans, of all people, with Baker Mayfield throwing the football. Funderburk ended up breaking up that pass. He's really shown a fearlessness, right, when lining up against other wide receivers. So depth is always good in the secondary. The Bucs have a lot of intriguing guys in that secondary. And I'm curious to see how a guy like Tyreek Funderburk really performs because I do think that while it might not be the easiest thing in the world, I do think there could be an opening in the back end of that secondary, right? A few spots could be up for grabs there between guys like Funderburk and Josh Hayes. A lot of guys like that, Kayvon Merriweather and Keenan Isaac. In the secondary there, I think that Funderburk could end up making a name for himself because he has turned some heads in training camp, and I'm curious to see how he does in the preseason games. But it all starts this weekend against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati on Saturday night. But let me know who you guys are going to have your eye on. Is it just like my list? Do you guys have anybody different in mind that you're going to be keeping an eye on? I'm always curious to hear what you guys think down in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And go Bucs.